Hi, everyone. It's Elizabeth. It's me. And I am here today not to talk about book reviews, or at least not in like a traditional, conventional sense, but I am here to talk about something that I find deeply fascinating. So, way to be self serving. But we're going to talk about three books today. The first is Never Let Me Go. The second is Buffalo Lockjaw. And the third, which I would consider my favorite of the three, is Song of Solomon. So, the reason we're talking about these three books today, and by we, I mean I'm going to talk to you and hopefully someone will respond because I am deeply curious to know if this is a me thing or like an everyone thing. So, to give you some backstory, I was think just sitting on my couch and I got a notification from Goodreads, the app, which, by the way, if you want to follow me on Goodreads, I would love to follow you back. I don't really know how that works, to be honest with you. Like, I don't know my username, and I probably should have thought about this before I just said it. But I will figure out how to do that and put it in the description. But I was sitting just on my couch, I believe at least. And I got a notification from Goodreads that an author had updated their notes on a book that I had read. So I said, okay. And it turned out to be Never Let Me Go. And it was so funny because I'm sitting there and I was like, I know I've read this book. It's sitting on my bookshelf. If I'm not mistaken, I believe it's over here. Oh no, you know what? It might be over here. Either way, it's currently in front of me. And it was hysterical, at least to me, because I remember this book made me feel. I felt things. I felt a little confused. I felt a little like romanticized and connected to these characters. And there was tragedy, but there was hope and there was beauty. And then it occurred to me as I started reading the author's notes that I have no clue what this book is about. Couldn't remember what the point was. Remember all the things I felt. Couldn't give you a synopsis of the book if I tried. Now, with that being said, I started reading through the notes and I remember passages. I remember them walking on the streets and I remember going to this place and being in this setting. And I remember those things. I remember those things as I remember the feelings this book gave me. But even reading through the notes from the author, I still couldn't quite figure out. Sorry, that's going to drive me nuts. Hold on one second. Okay, my chair's now behind me, so hopefully it'll stop fluttering in and out. But I, for the life of me, could not remember what the story of this book was. So we're gonna play a game called I'm gonna read the back for the first time, and since I read it, and figure out if I remember. As children, Kathy, Ruth, and Tommy were students at Hailsham, an exclusive boarding school secluded in the English countryside. It was a place of Mercular. It's great when I practice these things beforehand, or, should practice them beforehand and clearly don't. Mercutial clicks and mysterious rules. And teachers were constantly reminding their charges of how special they were. Now, years later, Kathy is a young woman. Ruth and Tommy have re entered her life, and for the first time, she is beginning to look back at their shared past and understand just what it is that makes them so special, and how that gift will shape the rest of their time together. Suspenseful, moving, beautifully atmospheric, Never Let Me Go is another classic by the author of The Remains of the Day. And I can say those things are true. It is definitely suspenseful, moving, beautifully atmospheric. However, I still cannot tell you what this book is about. And that is terrible. I should be ashamed of myself because I remember loving it. I remember thoroughly enjoying it, being moved and having the feelings. And I guess my question is, A, has anyone else read this book, Never Let Me Go? And B, how did you feel about it? What were your thoughts? And I guess there's the part C, because does this happen to anyone else? I'm so curious. So that's my first book I wanted to talk about. So blind recommendation, I suppose, if you do want a book that is moving and beautiful and beautifully atmospheric, as the back of the book says, then I would definitely recommend this. Passages, like I said, not necessarily the passages, but the places they went to stuck with me. So that is my recommendation. Great. Cannot for the life of me remember what this book is about. We're noticing a theme, or we should be able to infer one. Buffalo Lockjaw. I remember, I should probably, well, this one's by Greg since the sticker is right over it. But anywho, so Buffalo Lockjaw. Another book that I remember feeling sad, but somewhat hopeful, but also just really loving the concept that it was completely snowy and wintry, and like there's no better way to say it. I remember there was a lot of snow, there was a lot of winter, there was a lot of sadness, but like with the potential of hopeful. So again, I am going to read the back of this book and see if I can remember what it's about, because I have no idea what the premise of the story was. Oh, I did feel connected to a character. That was the other thing. I remember being connected to a character in this book, because I literally cannot tell you anything about it other than snow, winter, and it's in Buffalo. Hence the title. All right, are we ready? I am. James Fitzroy isn't doing so well. Though his old friends in Buffalo believe his life in New York City is a success. Oh, we were incorrect. Maybe does not take place in Buffalo, but hold on. Though his old friends in Buffalo believe his life in New York City is a success, this is where editing skills are in handy. Okay. James Fitzroy isn't doing so well. Though his old friends in Buffalo believe his life in New York City is a success. In fact, he writes ridiculous taglines for a greeting card company. Now he's coming home on Thanksgiving to visit his aging father and dying mother, and unlike other holidays, he's not sure how this one is going to end. Buffalo Lockjaw introduces a fresh new voice in American fiction. So, yay, point for me. It does take place in Buffalo. And other than that, I have no idea what happens in this story. Like, I'm excited to read it. I'm wondering if I started reading it, if I would recall any of it. But apparently, there is some sadness and hopefully some hope in there. But yeah, I don't know. So if you've read Buffalo Lockjaw, please let me know what your thoughts were. And again, there's definitely characters that can be connected to, assuming, of course, you can remember the rest of the story. That puts you a step ahead of me. But I would still recommend it because I kept it. It sits on my bookshelf. It's not on the favorite bookshelf list, or it's not on the shelf of favorite books, but it is close. I think it's over there. Maybe it's that one again. This would probably be better, by the way, if I had my glasses on. I didn't put my contacts in today, and when I put my glasses on, there's a terrible reflection, so I just do it without them. Figure, what's the worst that could happen? Not like anyone, I'm looking straight ahead. So there's a bright blue light at the top of the camera. I know kind of where to look. It's good. But yes, I would definitely consider reading this book, probably again for myself, but also if you like some sadness and some, based on the back, I feel like he's going to have to come to terms with his life in some ways. So yeah, I would opt in for this one as well, which clearly I did at one point. And I apologize to anyone that this might offend, because I, embarrassingly so, have said that Song of Solomon was always my favorite book by Toni Morrison. It's one of the ones that I really got into. I really liked it. If you look in this book, which I don't know how to do this backwards, but let's try, you can see that there is, or hopefully you can see, there is a ton of annotation. I don't believe in writing in books, but I read this one in college, and my professor was very big into annotation and annotating your books. In fact, you had to annotate the book and then hand it in with your paper. Got an A in that class, by the way. But I read this in, let's see, I was a sophomore in college, so 2010-ish, 11 years ago. Yay for math. And I loved it. I loved it. I still remember parts of it. I remember that this book started magical realism for me. Like this is where I learned this is the book where I learned what that was, and I was pulled into it, and I remember passages, I remember characters. Cannot tell you what the overall story is about, which shame on me. Actually, for all three of these, shame on me, but I do know that I loved it, and I do know that I felt connected to it in some way, whether it was the characters or just the storytelling. But I am an awful person because I maybe not an awful person, but an awful reader, I guess, because I don't recall what happened in this book outside of the parts that I remember. Like, I do remember parts of this. I just couldn't tell you the overall story, like the overall story. And of course, the back of the book does not offer any insight into that. It's a rich, full novel. It lifts us up, impresses itself upon us like a love affair. It has been impressed upon me. There are parts and passages of this book that I remember distinctly and could tell you about them. Morrison is this terrific storyteller. Her writing evokes the joyful richness of life. See, story, maybe I was connected to the storytelling of it all. And I'm wondering if there is, well, these are all about her other works. This book came out. Okay, that's not helpful. So I'm going to cheat a little, and we're going to pull up Goodreads, and Song of Solomon, and I gave it 5 stars because, again, it meant it touched me somewhere, and unfortunately I cannot remember the overall concept of the story. Here we go. Are we ready? I'm ready. And I say that, and then I'm going to stutter while reading, but that's okay. Milkman Dead was born shortly after a neighborhood eccentric hurled himself off a rooftop in, see, I told you guys, I get excited and then Milkman Dead was born shortly after a neighborhood eccentric hurled himself off a rooftop in a vain attempt at flight. For the rest of his life, he too will be trying to fly. With this brightly imagined novel, Toni Morrison transfigures the coming-of-age story as audaciously as Saul Bellow or Gabriel Garcia Marquez. As she follows Milkman from his Rust Belt city to the place of his family's origins, Morrison introduces an entire cast of strivers and liars and assassins, and inhibits a fully realized Black world. See? Beautiful, imaginative, captivating, filled with all types of storytelling and magical realism, and it gets you. And so, I would say another one, definitely read it. So we have Toni Morrison, Song of Solomon, Never Let Me Go, and Buffalo Lockjaw. So if you haven't read them yet, please do so. Please let me know your thoughts, and please tell me how they made you feel, because I think that is something that, above all, even if I don't remember the specific storylines or specific characters, I remember feelings, passages, what's the word I'm looking for? Literary techniques, not really. characters, settings, passages, imagery, feelings. I remember so vividly how I felt reading these books and that they all touched me in some way. And so, one, I'm embarrassed that I don't remember the exact story. But more importantly, I'm curious, does this happen to any of you? What are books that you know you've read that you loved that you don't remember the story? Please, please, please tell me. Tell me in the comments below. Tell me on my website, which is shockinglymee.com. There's an email, shockinglymee@gmail.com. Tell me your thoughts. I am so curious to know if this happens to other people and what books it's happened to you while reading or finishing reading. I also want to give a quick shout out to Jessica from Jesse James Co. We're going to fact check that, and I'm going to put her details in the description as well. She has been my friend forever and made me this beautiful Shockingly Me shirt, which, bear with me, has our website on the back, and it has a bleeding book and our tagline. And she does a lot of amazing things, t-shirts, tank tops, merchandise, stickers. I love my stickers from her. And you can find all of them, all of the things she offers and sells and can make on her Instagram account. And it is Jesse James Co. So JESSIE JAMESCO. And I'm going to put their Instagram account and check them. Oh, this isn't going to work. Oh, nope, definitely not working. But check them out on Instagram. They make a bunch of cool stuff. They're really great to work with. And she can make you both Shockingly Me merchandise. I suggest you do it, but again, a little self-serving, but it's also cool. I think it's cool. But she can make you whatever you want as well. It's her and James. So I know Jessica, and I've met James a couple of times, but Jessica and I go way back. She would literally start crying, but we've been friends for at least 15 or 16 years at this point. So yes, definitely check them out on Instagram. Check out our website, shockinglymee.com. Share your stories, share the books you love, share your book recommendations in the comments below. Email me, I will get back to you. But again, for today, definitely consider checking out Buffalo Lockjaw, Never Let Me Go, and Song of Solomon. Most importantly, please enjoy all of your coffee or all of your caffeinated beverages, coffee, all of your water. I'm a massive fan of hot cocoa and coffee while reading, not at the same time, but enjoy your evening and your reading. All right, bye everyone.